Pizard Presents. r/AskReddit. Doctors and nurses of Reddit who have delivered babies to mothers who clearly cheated on their husbands. What was that like? So a friend of mine, he is unfortunately dead, had cancer and he was dating a girl for about 2 years. He then discovered he had cancer and that he would live at best 1 more year. His girlfriend announced to him a week later that she was pregnant. They were both white. He kept on saying that life is a joke. He was happy because he would have a baby now, but sad because he would die in a year. Anyway, 9 months later the baby was born, and it was black. He then disappeared for weeks, and we learned that he had died a month later. Felt so fucking sorry. Had 2 women give birth a few days apart on my floor. Turns out they actually had the same baby daddy. The father of the 2 newborns got both patients pregnant around the same time. It was an interesting day for the social worker. Oh man. A friend of friend got 2 women pregnant, several months apart. One of the women had complications during the pregnancy and the baby was born very early. On the exact same day the other woman also went into labor. Father has 2 babies, same date of birth, different mothers. The women knew about one another. One ended up being insane and unfit and bolted. So the other woman is raising both kids. In high school my gym teacher was married to the biology teacher, who was also really good friends with my math teacher. Always saw them chatting and walking together. Well, the BO teacher got pregnant, and when she brought the baby in there was an unignorable resemblance to the math teacher. Her husband ended up driving to the nearest hospital and shooting himself dead in the parking lot. Was a big scandal at our relatively small private school. One of a few actually. Holy fuck, that escalated quickly. Did not see that coming. Paramedic here. Our crew delivered a full birth in the back of our rig. We have 2 paramedics in the back with the PT, a driver, and I'm working on the laptop listening to info they are telling me to add to the report. All of a sudden, it goes kind of quiet. I hear the mother let out a very loud, "Oh shit, it's not white." She was very white. Few more seconds of silence, and I'm like, the driver alarm, beeping light on the center console sent from a button in the back, was pressed 2 times quickly, generally meaning to turn around, to get info for the report. I turn from the front passenger seat, to see a very dark skin colored baby, I'm guessing Cuban. I can't see the mother's face, but all I see is her shaking her head. She begins to worry, saying that her husband is meeting us there at the hospital. He can't see this. I just continue the report, and I'm not sure what the problem is, but I guess we'll see when we get there. Flash forward to the we stop outside the ambulance bay. I get out to open the doors, and am met by another very white heavyset guy in a uniform shirt, dress pants and glasses. Asked me if his wife was in there, and she was in labor when he was coming home. Hospital policy dictates that we can't have random people, that we can't confirm identity that close to the rig when opening doors for PT safety. Security is there quick, holds him back a bit. We open the doors, roll the PT and her newborn out. He takes one look, sees the color of the baby, jaw drop, look of despair, like a 1,000-yard stare. Even security had a look like, wow, that woman fucked up, and this guy knows it now. Wife. Babe, I can explain every bit of this. I know it looks weird, but I can. We wheel her into no sign of husband. Last I knew, the husband didn't check into the hospital as a visitor. I'm assuming he went home to pack his stuff. Newborn had chlamydia. Got it from the mom. Obviously. So the mom admits she was cheating on the dad, because there's no other way to explain that one. Except, the dad was cheating too, with the other guy's girlfriend. And all 4 of them had chlamydia, with no idea who had it first. They also had no idea who the actual dad was. That was a rodeo. Edit. Well, that's what I get for editing before bed. Let's be honest, everything we know about chlamydia we learned from teen romcoms. Fucking koalas. A friend of mine tells the story of his aunt giving birth, in the 1970s or 80s, to a baby that at first glance appeared to be of Asian descent. Aunt and her husband are both Caucasian Midwesterners from long lines of the same sort. Going back to Germany, there was evidently a shock moment, and then the aunt's father, my friend's grandfather, quipped, Well, they say 1 in 7 babies is born Chinese. And everyone laughed. The tension broke. Long enough for the doctor, also a white Midwesterner of German stock, said that likely the kid's color is just off due to the events of the birth. That baby is now a man in his 30s or 40s. And looks like your typical Midwesterner. He just had some tinge to his skin for a few hours following the birth. Plus some dark hair at birth that has since lightened up. Jaundice. Not a doctor, but if I remember correctly, it is due to the baby's immune system going haywire during birth. They put babies under a blow lamp for up to 24 hours to make it go away. Anesthesiologist here. C-sections are typically done under spinal anesthesia, and we're the ones at the head of the table keeping the mother calm and talking her through the procedure while the surgeons operate. I've seen it more than once, but I remember one in particular when the parents were both very Caucasian and the baby was very much not. The actual father obviously had to be very dark-skinned. At delivery, when the not father saw the baby, he just looked down at his wife, who was starting to cry, and calmly said, "You fucking whore," and walked out. She started screaming for him to come back, but there wasn't much she could do since she was, still being operated on. She lost it to the point I eventually had to sedate her just a bit because she was in danger of injuring herself. As far as I know, her husband never came back to the hospital. I don't know what happened after that. Baby was white on the ultrasound, so she thought she was in the clear. I laughed, then realized this has probably happened. Not really relevant to the thread, but sometimes I like to tell the story about how, when I was having a C-section, I tried to communicate that I knew the procedure was starting because I felt pressure on my skin. Unfortunately, what I managed to say was, I felt that. My anesthesiologist went, "Oh shit," and gave me ketamine. I was tripping balls for my kid's birth, and all I remember is an unending hallway of doors. But there was no ceiling. It was just open to a psychedelic universe of stars. When I was wheeled to recovery, we passed my mother-in-law at the nursery. She turned to see me, and I helpfully informed her, "I'm HIIIIGH as a kite." While we are telling non-relevant C-section stories, my wife was laying on the table as my son was being born. I was up by her head with the anesthesiologist. I have known my wife for a very long time. She makes this face when she's about to vomit. So I tell the anesthesiologist that she's about to hurl. He says, "Nothing we have her should cause nausea." She then turns her head and vomits all over him. He then hands me a suction hose and tells me to keep her from choking on her own vomit. So now I'm freaking out trying to keep my wife from drowning in her own vomit, on top of already freaking out because we were having an emergency C-section. My son and wife are fine now, but I still dislike that anesthesiologist greatly for the way he treated us. On a side note, when they tell you not to look around the curtain, don't. I really didn't need to see what my wife's organs looked like. Edit. Thank you for my first silver kind stranger. Edit 2. From the medical professionals that responded to my post, it seems very clear that my original assessment of the anesthesiologist being an idiot and a jerk to be correct. Edit 3. RIP my inbox. Not exactly cheating, but definitely an awkward situation. During my OB rotation in med school, I was caring for a patient with a very large family, the kind that all wanted to be part of the delivery process from beginning to end. They were having a baby girl, and the room was absolutely filled from wall to wall with pink presents, bassinets, blankets, clothing, embroidered quilts, you name it. Anyways, I deliver the baby and I'm horrified, thinking there was some sort of mutation in the baby's vagina. After my initial shock, I realized it was simply a perfectly normal looking baby penis and testicles. The "congrats, it's a boy" was met with shock instead of excitement initially, but then everyone was so happy after understanding he was perfectly healthy. Apparently, even with good prenatal care, you can miss the male genitalia on ultrasounds about 1% of the time. One of the girls in my antenatal classes and GD groups from my first pregnancy had that happen. She had gone to the weirdest lengths to make everything pink. Then her baby is born and everyone in the room was completely silent. She said it was the scariest moment of her life. She thought something was seriously wrong. because her husband's face drained of color and the midwife who caught her baby's mouth kind of gaped open holding him still between her legs. She said it felt like an eternity for them to say it's a boy, and she felt nothing but complete relief. And that's how she got a son who wore almost exclusively pink clothes the first year of his life. The car seat and pram were even pink. Hey, did repaint the walls yellow though? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe. Until next time, Pizard signing off.